If you're battling for a playoff spot right now, or you're trying to fight your way to a higher position to get a better matchup in fantasy hockey for the upcoming playoffs, this video is going to be absolutely critical for you. We are already hitting week 21, which means there is basically only 1 week left in the fantasy hockey regular season for most leagues, with week 23 being the start of playoffs. Now, this video is going to go over your best possible options for streamers, defensemen, and goaltenders so you guys can min-max your way to winning this week and hopefully jumping you up into the standings into a playoff spot, or securing your playoff spot, or just getting yourself a better matchup in the next coming week. This is your week 21 preview, guys. Let's get right into the video. We are back to a typical NHL schedule, with the off nights being the Monday, the Wednesday, the Friday, and the Sunday. That's the 10th, the 12th, the 14th, and 16th. There are 2 teams that have 4 games and 4 off nights this week, so great streamer options. Utah and Detroit are going to be our main focus, with a good amount of teams with 4 games and 3 off nights as well. So if you have some higher end players like the McKinnons, like the McDavids, like the Draisaitl's, like Nietzsche's even, that are Makar, that are on, Colorado or the Oilers, you're going to have a really, really strong week. And then the Ducks are also in that category as well. And then a handful of teams that play 4 games and have 1 to 2 off nights, as you can see below. But moving on to the max schedule that you guys can get for this upcoming week is you're going to want to add somebody from Utah or Detroit for Monday. You're going to play them throughout the entire week. Then you're going to want to add somebody from the Rangers, the Panthers, the Canucks, and the Golden Knights, just because you're going to get an extra game on top of that. Even though it's a busy night, and say you have a team that only plays 2 games this week, and you're not really keen on doing so, and you want the absolute max schedule for this week, for those of you that have limited ads, this is going to be your best possible option, getting you 5 games and 4 off nights. The worst schedule this week isn't actually technically bad. You've got 2 games, yeah, sure, but both off nights. So if you have high-end players from these teams, especially if Mikko Rantanen's a great example. Obviously you're not going to ever drop Mikko Rantanen, but it's not a terrible week for some of your higher-end players if you're on this team. But if you have some mid to lower tier guys, and this is a really important week for you, highly recommend adding somebody from the following schedule that's going to get you 4 games, at least 4 games instead of one of these guys. So all these mid to low tier players that you have on either the Flames or the Stars, definitely drop them, even though they both have 2 off nights. But you're going to want the maximum amount of games possible for this upcoming week if you're kind of fighting for a playoff spot. So here are my priority forward streams. Again, a lot of Utah players here. Obviously, Dylan Guenther starting us off at 66% owned. If he's available at any league for whatever reason, pick him up right now. Great shot volume, scores a ton of goals, is a merchant on the power play as well. He gets you 1 or 2 hits a game. He gets you a block every couple games, or basically he's been blocking once or twice in the last 5 games. He does everything you want. Absolute stud. Should be around 70-80% owned. Pick him up if he's available. Same thing with Patrick Kane. Just give him the schedule. If you're in a more shallow league and Guenther isn't available, then definitely grab Kane. The Wings have kind of gone on a little bit of a slump lately, but again, they're such a weird team. It's they go on these 7-game heaters and then they lose 7 in a row, and I don't understand what goes on with these guys. But if Kane's available, again, really good option. Scores a ton. Decent shot volume. Doesn't really do much outside of that, but line 2, power play 1 has been absolutely lighting it up with DeBrincat lately. So again, really good options. Nick Schmaltz, line 1, power play 1, center, right wing eligible. Is getting a ton of points lately. Even goals, surprisingly. His shot volume, he is stepping up quite a bit. He's got around 3, maybe even 4 shots a game now at some points. And dual eligible should be a really good option for you as well. Jonathan Drouin, skating line 2, power play 1, alongside Brock Nelson and Valerie Nichushkin. Again, solid option. Plays, second line minutes. Plays on the top power play unit with McKinnon, Nietzsche, Makar. Great exposure in deeper leagues, especially at 22% owned with the schedule. Wanted to give you guys somebody outside of Utah and Detroit, but again, anybody from those teams that are listed, you definitely want to prioritize. But Drouin is a solid option, and you can't really get to a lot of quality players on the Oilers, for example, or even the Avs. Drouin's really the lowest ownable guy. Based off the way that they're so top heavy, that you could actually be able to stream if you're in a 12-team league. So highly recommend Drouin as well. Center, right wing eligible, and then Barrett Hayton skating top line, power play 1 as well. Center, 11% owned. If you're in a deep league, this should be your number 1 target. His point production's been good. He's actually really good at faceoffs. You count faceoffs in your leagues for some reason. And then, blocks, hits, chips in every once in a while. But the shot volume is a little bit inconsistent. But if you're in a super deep league, just for this upcoming week, highly recommend Barrett Hayton. Onto your defensive streams, again, Aaron Ekblad. I know there's been a lot of hype around Seth Jones coming to Florida, but Aaron Ekblad is the staple power play 1 defenseman in Florida currently. Pair 1, power play 1, plays a ton of minutes. So if he's available and you need a power play 1 defenseman, he should be your number 1 option. Jackson Lacombe, you could argue, is more valuable for this upcoming week, just given the schedule. schedule. Even though he does play, on the Tuesday, you got to pick him up, 60% owned. He is currently still skating on that power play too, as Anaheim decides to continue with that 5-man top power play unit. Not too concerned. He's still producing at a really good rate. One of the better shot volume defensemen as well. So highly recommend that you take a peek at Lacombe. I've been praising him all throughout the season. He's been fantastic, 60% owned. Filip Hronek, if for whatever reason the injury with Quinn Hughes continues, Filip Hronek's the #1 power play defenseman in Vancouver, and he's very solid. If Quinn Hughes does come back, he will obviously skate on that second power play unit, but even at 44% owned, it's a good option. Gets you points here and there, decent shot volume, hits, blocks. So like pretty standard across the board, but with Quinn Hughes being out, he's a very, very good option. Sean Durzi, again, pair 2, power play 2, probably the best scheduled defenseman, readily available to everybody. I know he's been back for like a couple games, and his production and, peripheral stats haven't been great, but again, pair 2, power play 2, great schedule for this week. If you need a defenseman for whatever reason, highly recommend streaming him. Just, again, 4 games, 4 off nights. And then Zach Jones continues to be the power play 1 defenseman in New York. He's playing like a decent amount of minutes as well too. Hits, or he doesn't hit at all. He hasn't recorded a hit in like 4 games, but he does block and he does shoot the puck. And he's playing power play 1. So again, a really, really good option for those of you in deeper leagues that need a power play 1 defenseman. He's 1% owned. Go pick him up. And then finally, goaltending streams for this week. Scott Wedgwood on day 1 on the Monday is going to get a matchup against Chicago. I would be very surprised if they start Blackwood in this circumstance with a back-to-back against Minnesota the following day, which will be a big matchup for the Avs. Just obviously division rival and close in the playoff race here. But again, Wedgwood should be good to go on the Monday against Chicago. There's no reason why they should play Blackwood. Vitek Vanacek, March 16th against the Islanders. Again, good option. Florida's an absolute wagon. Should be good for a win there on a back-to-back. Joel Hofer also sees a back-to-back against Anaheim on the 16th at home. Again, solid option. You're playing against the Ducks. The Ducks aren't very good. 6% owned, should be really available. And then finally, Calvin Pickard, March 14th against the Islanders, a little bit earlier in the week if you guys need a goalie stream for whatever reason on a back-to-back, and Edmonton is just rolling. And that'll do it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and hit that subscribe button. I will have a live stream out sometime this week. I know I touched on it last week. I've been kind of just slammed with work lately, but I will make time for a live stream this week, so look forward to that. We're going to go over things like trade deadline. We're going to go over things like streaming and players to look forward to for fantasy hockey playoffs. So if you guys have any questions that you can think of, be sure to stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button on the channel and join our Discord. I will be blasting out when I will be going live in Discord as well. So again, if you guys have any super high level questions for me, that'll do it, guys. Thank you so much for all the support recently, and good luck in week 21 of fantasy hockey.